That's some way to start that.
That's staying in.
Sorry.
Defo staying in.
How are we? Welcome to this week's episode of Heads and Laughs, where sports, mental health, debates and comedy are unscripted. Settle down with your hosts Gareth and Nathan. Let's get stuck in.
How are we, everyone? Welcome back to the podcast. It's been a long time. First one we've done now since, I think, September. We've got a returning guest, as you all know. Me and Gareth are the ones that normally host, but Mark was on one that we done around September where we done like a special. What was the special? What was the reason why we done it? Where we got Mark and Tom on?
Transfer window, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was the transfer window. So that's why we had them
predicting the Premier League, I think, as well.
Yeah, we were talking about like what we think was going to happen in the Premier League, and it was a podcast that we were meant to basically do 30 minutes with them, then an hour with me and Gareth, and it ended up lasting about 2.5 hours. It's been, me and Gareth have been busy. Obviously, as you all know, I stream. Well, did until 3 weeks ago, pretty much. Gareth had a lot of stuff going on in his life, and so we've both been busy. A lot of people won't realise we've actually streamlined this in a sense, and the reason why the little logo's there above is because we're paying a fee to actually make it a little bit easier for us to edit and stuff. But we've just been too busy to be able to record and edit because we've had to basically. The edit process was like something that I'd have to go through 2 different edits. But anyway, you don't need to worry about that. That's why we haven't not come out. We're here now. And we're basically going to talk about the season so far in the Premier League. As we said, it's not really a podcast for football. But right now, it hasn't been a podcast. So we're just going to talk about whatever we think is relevant, what we want to talk about. So we're going to talk about the Premier League. We're going to have a decent conversation about the final as well on Sunday for Liverpool and Chelsea. And then we're going to have a little chat about some questions that we've had sent in as well. So,
is that your telly in the background, Gareth?
It's me ma watching Emmerdale.
It'll be all right. Don't worry about it.
Someone say
Emmerdale, turn off now. Please don't get any spoilers. But so we'll talk about what we'll start off with before we actually get into it. Just to explain that, obviously, I've said we haven't done a podcast for ages. We haven't got a schedule. We might not post again for another month, 2 months. We're going to try and get some out as and when we can. As you all know, I've set up a Patreon. This is going to be exclusive, early release exclusive, as you say, a day earlier than people that want to watch it normal on like Spotify and stuff. So if that's what you're interested in, then get yourself in about that. You get added into the Discord and stuff. We're going to see how this goes. We're going to see if we enjoy it and whether it's worth basically the time, because like I said, it takes a lot of time. But yeah, we'll start off with the Premier League so far this season. And Mark, we'll start with you because the highs of last season and the expectation going into the season was obviously probably a lot different compared to many other seasons. Obviously, Newcastle under Mike Ashley have been a team that hasn't really spent money. He's struggled a little bit. He's been up and down in terms of like in the league. Obviously, went down to the Championship and come back up and stuff like that. And then obviously going into this season, he's got into the Champions League, and then maybe hasn't got as planned for many reasons. What would you say has been the main factor? Like, if you want to say it's injuries, that's up to you. If you want to say it's like Tonali not being able to play, what would you say is the main reason?
I think it's been a culmination of things. I think not bringing in another striker would have been top of my list in the summer. Really looking at Wilson's injury record and looking at Isak hasn't always been fit since he's been here. But I don't think you can ever sort of know that you're going to get that amount of injuries in the summer when you think that you look like you've got a healthy enough squad, and then you're losing sort of like 10, 11 first team players, not necessarily all of them starting, but I just think you can't really sort of, trying to think of the word, you can't really sort of like plan for that, do you know what I mean? You think that you're going to necessarily have both your strikers out and you're then going to have to play Anthony Gordon up front, who's necessarily not a striker. Being class on the left, whether he plays their left wing or the right wing, predominantly on the left, but he's been class. And I wasn't a massive fan of Anthony Gordon, and it was more of his attitude. I think he just looked like he was just like sort of, he had a half decent 6 months at Everton and then sort of went off the boil a little bit. And to be honest, I absolutely couldn't stand him. It was an opposing player that I just sort of like absolutely ridiculed, to be honest.
Yeah.
But when a player comes and plays for your club and you can see him wearing the shirt and giving 110%, and I think he's calmed himself down. He doesn't go on like a tit now. I think Eddie Howe's got him calmed down a little bit. That's one definite plus point. I think he's doing quite. Lewis Miley's another plus point. Would he got game time because of the injuries? Not necessarily. But we've got people coming back now. I think Woodward done better. Not necessarily. Probably not, no, because I think the standard this year has been higher than it was last season in the Premier League.
Yeah.
Hence the points total, how close the top three are.
Overachieved last year anyway, didn't you? Massively, Newcastle.
Massively.
Like, so to go and repeat it this year was going to be next to nigh on impossible, you know, like you're looking at last season.
You back over the fans, mate, and then you get fans going, oh, get rid of how we want to get
unrealistic ones, yeah.
And with this, that, and the other, we got beat off Notts Forest at home on Boxing Day, and they're like, it's like, how are you, man? Like a year and a half, well, 2 years ago, like you've just come in and we're sitting bottom, like we hadn't had a win. I think we'd had one win in about 18 games or something. Do you know what I mean?
You're referencing strikers and you're referencing the Nottingham Forest game, so you should have kept Chris Wood.
Chris Wood, well, this is what I said it as well. I said I don't see why we would. I think we got rid of him probably because of financial fair play, but they got rid of Shelby for 15 million, and I probably would have kept Shelby.
It's an interesting one because you said before, like, you've had loads of injuries and stuff, but then if you had, like, say, Tonali was available and obviously Willock's missed a lot of games and players like that, you wouldn't probably have seen much of Miley this season.
No, exactly. So it has its plus points on the other side. You're bringing youth through as well. Like a young lad called Joe White came on Saturday, I think it was last week, or the last time we played at home. He came on when we drew against Bournemouth 2-2. He came on. You'd rather see that like homegrown talent coming through, do you know what I mean? At least getting a chance. But he gets ridiculed for playing Dan Burn, and people are targeting Dan Burn down that left-hand side. But I don't think he wants to play Livramento there because he's not left-footed. He prefers naturally left-footed. I think Matt Targett would have been having game time if he was fit.
Yeah.
But I think Matt Targett's slow as well.
Mark, do you not think
he's got a fat arse?
do you not think he could have maybe looked at it, Jordan, while you've had these injuries and maybe done what Southgate's done with England and put Trippier at left back for a bit, and take Dan out the firing line and put Livramento at right back maybe?
But then he's probably thinking, well, do I really want to put Trips then, make him out of position? And I don't know. Well, I'm not anyhow, but I just think sometimes freshening it up.
Yeah.
I must admit, from the outside,
could have probably worked a little bit.
From the outside looking in this season at Newcastle, I think obviously we've spoke about it between the three of us plus others, that I think the only thing that Howe's really lacking is just that trust in biting the bullet and going, fuck it, my back's against the wall. I need to chuck a few kids in or I need to change something, because he's so stuck in his ways, I think, that he's scared to change things and shit at the fan.
I think it's because he trusts the players. I think it's trusting them players, and them players have done him so well. But then, that's what I was saying. Unfortunately, we're going to fall in love with players who are going to do well for the club and will have good times because of where the club's going. But unfortunately, they're going to either get sold or the time that the club's going to come to an end because of either A, retire or maybe through injury, whatever. Do you know what I mean? It's not going to be a prolonged thing. Yeah. You can't... Good managers don't have not favourites, but they know when to. I'm not saying he's not a good manager. I just think he needs to be a bit more ruthless, and so you can.
That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah,
seems a bit nice, doesn't he? Sometimes, like it's like that. He reminds me of I wouldn't say exactly the same, but like Roy Hodgson when he was at us, like I
know what you mean.
It's hard to explain.
Just trying to please everybody. Just trying to.
Yeah, I think Eddie Howe's a good manager. Like you've just said there, like there's certain players that you get attached to, and I think Dan Burns a perfect example. I think a lot of people have been split on him this season. I think one of the reasons why is because he's a local lad as well.
If he's fit, he plays for me. But if he's fit, he plays, and that's not just because he's a local lad.
Yeah,
he's done really well for it. Do you know what I mean?
I think he would.
Like we touched on before. Like I think you said yourself. Like there's a lot of Newcastle fans that are just a little bit
fickle.
I'm not gonna say fickle. Just like last season, it's kind of like not even just Newcastle fans, just football fans in general. Last season, seeing how well he's done, and he kind of just like had this assumption that you were automatically just going to go again and do it again this season. And we've seen in the past many, like Leicester, a perfect example. They won the league like 7 years ago or something, or whenever it was, and they're literally playing in a championship. Like, just because you've had a good season, like, let's be honest, like, no disrespect to Newcastle, but you haven't played at a high level of football since Alan Shearer was playing for you. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, well,
and he's been retired like 15 years or something.
Yeah.
And like, it's not a bad thing, because at the end of the day, the trophies and progression will come in time. Do you know what I mean?
Hopefully,
like,
it's not. Now it's guaranteed, is it?
It doesn't mean automatically next season that you're entitled to do it again. And I think ultimately,
you've got to earn the right, haven't you? Clearly,
we've seen this season, though, like the way Eddie Howe likes to play football. He's like very much like wanting to press, very high intensity. You know, you've got players on the pitch that are covering more distance than any other players in other teams. Like, you're going to get injuries. It's just the way football works. That's
the way
happened
we
this
play
season.
as well.
And I know not every player has got like a hammy injury or like, you know, something related to like running and stuff. But like Dan Burn when he injured his back, like little things like that. I'm not saying it's direct down.
He's apparently having injections for that, though. You know,
that's
whilst he's playing, so that could be
like players make poor decisions, or they don't get the ball quick enough, or they do things wrong because they're tired as well. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like it could all come together. I think Newcastle will be fine.
Oh,
for me, this season,
top 10. I said to you, top 10, top 8 to me.
I said like if you finish, I think these are the team that should be in the conversation of finishing between 6th and 11th. That's where I put you, because it's not specifically just because you use, but because of the other teams around you. I think you're all on a similar level. But I also think that if you finish on the back end of it, it's a poor season, regardless of injuries and stuff like that. The same way Liverpool last season finished 5th. We had a lot of injuries, but ultimately, considering where we were expected and what we were expected to do, we were expected to challenge for the title last season and just went nowhere near good enough, especially the first half of the season. And I think this season, for you to have a fantastic season, you'd have to get. I think you finishing 5th or 6th is a good season.
Of course, it is in a little Champions League run.
Unbelievable season.
Finishing like 10th or 11th for me is a very bad season. That's what I would say anyway, personally.
Yeah.
I think anything below that is like, wow, what's gone wrong? But I also think this season now, with how poorly it's gone, you kind of just have to go. The manager needs to speak to the owners and stuff, and just make sure you're on the same page and just say, listen, it hasn't gone well. Let's go again next year.
If we're not in Europe
next year, next 3 months to, you know, find out what you want to do going into next season. Because I don't think Eddie Howe's going to be the manager that's going to take you to consistently getting Champions League football. But he is definitely good enough right now to be the one who is going to. He reminds me of, not the same type of person, but it reminds me of like the Brendan Rodgers era for us. He was never good enough to manage a team that wants to win the league or to Champions League football. But he was a good manager.
Close the gap, innit?
Yeah, I just think that you're in a position now where like fans need to be realistic, not just
But
Newcastle
you don't
fans.
want to see what do poor to get a new manager in who you think's going to take with there. Do you know what I mean?
I don't think you're in a position yet, though. But you haven't got the squad yet to go to that next manager who's going to do that.
Yeah, that's it.
It's pointless. There's been rumours of Jose Mourinho. Like, I think he's a good manager. I think he's better than Eddie Howe. It's debatable right now, but is he worth bringing in now? He's not, is he?
No, definitely not. For me, if you look at, say, Villa's transfer window, Brighton's transfer window, Tottenham's transfer window, that type of team, who Newcastle were obviously challenging last season, Tottenham brought a lot better players in. I would say Brighton brought decent players in.
Tottenham literally didn't buy a player that hasn't done well. Vicario, Maddison, Udogie.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? I think everyone.
Even Timo Werner, he's coming in January on loans for all right.
Yeah, exactly.
Van der Ven's the one for me with Spurs. You know, he's absolutely transformed them at the back.
The keeper's playing well as well, mate.
Yeah, the keeper's. But that Van der Ven, mate, he's a Rolls Royce defender. He's for me. If he can stay fit, he'll be like the next Van Dijk, in my opinion, in the Premier League.
Yeah, he's that good.
He's unbelievable. But I think just going back to the Newcastle point there with sort of European places or down to 10th, 11th. I mean, you look at the teams now who are in, you know, those places. You'd say realistically, Brighton and West Ham are the only two really that Newcastle should probably be finishing ahead in terms of,
especially when they're playing European football as well.
Exactly, but then you look at the others like Villa now. Villa have got a world class manager and they've got some very, very good players in there. So having the manager alone is worth probably 10, 12 points a season, easy. You know, Liverpool, Man City, United, Spurs,
Arsenal.
Arsenal, you're expecting that all them teams should be finishing above Newcastle right now on the table. So, anything sort of 6th down to 10th is
which is
You've
I'm
You've even
happy
got,
with.
you've even
I'm
got the
happy
likes
with
like
that.
Wolves and that getting thrown in there, and as much money as Chelsea has spent,
But
they're
how
barely
well's
poor.
Gary O'Neill's
Know what I
done
mean?
there, mind?
Gary
He was at
O'Neill's been
Bournemouth.
fantastic, yeah.
He's done class. He was at
There's been
Bournemouth.
one thing I will say, there's been a few managers this season that I've looked at, and it's like Rob Edwards for Luton. He's done a great job as well.
and all the birds love him.
Yeah, what's the Bournemouth manager's name?
I can't remember his name.
I don't know.
Bit of a weird one, isn't it?
Eddie Olan, is it?
Areola.
He's doing like. I think one of the down points as well this season is like some of the teams who weren't expected to do well have actually done well as well. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like people thought that Wolves could actually get relegated. I know Everton are down at the bottom now, but they should be 10 points ahead of where they are in terms of like if they didn't get the point deduction. But it's been an interesting season.
Down towards the bottom, it's Burnley. It's probably been the biggest surprise for most people, hasn't it? The football they
everyone
played
had them
last
saying
year.
that could potentially finish mid-table.
Yeah, and they've just.
Do you want me to tell you what?
Flapped
Most
it.
people's knowledge was zero. It was all guesses based on company being the manager and them being ready to go to the championship, which doesn't automatically, you don't get 1-1 and get 2. You know what I mean? All the time.
Just shows the gulf in class between the two divisions.
How many times when the playoff winner comes through and they're the better team because they're playing more expensive football and they're actually going to attack teams instead of sitting back?
Yeah,
they'll
Luton
not sit
started
back.
really poorly as well.
Yeah,
and then
because
after
then
like
they found
the
the
first month or
system.
two, they started like in terms of like the away games that we played this season, they've been up there with the hardest team we've played against at their grounds. We probably should have won. We had the chances, but
Definitely against us. We got beat off them.
It's just their team, like just on paper, is like it's a mid-table championship team.
It's misfits, isn't it?
But it's just Right. Anyway, I've got a question that Connor's asked. I did ask people to send us some questions on Facebook. And just to keep on the topic of Newcastle before we go on to anything else, I want to ask you, Mark, and I'm going to also ask you, Gareth, what you think.
You, Mark, I'm going to ask you.
You, Marky Ross.
You.
So we've obviously spoke about Newcastle and what's happened this season and maybe what's gone wrong and what have you. Connor's basically said, what do Newcastle need to do to basically hit that level of being consistent and pushing for top 4?
Get a better team, doctor, so we've got more fit players.
Yeah.
No,
we're beating you to that one.
You need a world class centre half. You need a stronger goalkeeper.
Who starts though?
Who starts what?
To go with Botman or to go with Fabi and Shah?
To go with Botman.
Yeah, okay.
Shaw's not going to be around forever. He's got 1 or 2 seasons. You need somebody else. Lascelles has been great when he's come in and he does a job, and he's been fantastic when Botman was injured. Played really, really well. But I definitely think you need another great centre half along the lines of sort of who do you go for? Do you know what I mean?
There's loads of players out there you can go
for.
Do you
go for that? There's a lad who I like. Is it Jean-Claire Todebo or something?
Todibo, yeah. Or whatever his name is. Todibo.
Big lad.
Plays for Nice, he's a good player.
Decent.
You got Big Nat Phillips just down the road, lads.
I think we'll pass, thanks.
80 million, you should get him.
Let me just put something out there. I said this the end of last season. I said Newcastle should go in for Joe Gomez. And I'm just saying right now, he has been fantastic this season. And with the amount of injuries that we've had in defence, that you have had, he's played right back, left back, and centre back. He's played inverted. And he would have been perfect.
You wouldn't sell him though, but you wouldn't sell him now though, would you?
I wouldn't now. No, last season, no. It was definitely a question because we were ironically, we've just spoken about Mickey van der Ven. Liverpool were interested in him, but we weren't willing to pay the money that they were asking for him.
Yeah.
So there was a chance that we were going to sell him, like sell Joe Gomez, and like I said, I'm glad we never because
we need a 20-goal striker. We need a striker who's going to get you 20 goals.
I agree. I think Isaac's a very good player, but I think he could be a little bit hot and cold sometimes.
So frustrating, Isaac. I think he's quality.
He is. He's fantastic. Like I seen a podcast the other day, and he was talking about him, and like he's not as good, or maybe he'll never reach the height of Thierry Henry or like players like that, but he's got like similar traits to like Henry and Mbappe, to like coming in off that left side.
His movements,
it's the drop of the shoulder and the silky.
I think the problem is, though, I mentioned this in a Discord a couple of weeks ago or a couple of months ago. Like the amount of balls that get put into the box by Trippier, and just the sheer volume of chances that has.
I know what you're going to say.
a centre forward in the box.
Wilson's not fit, is he? So...
I mentioned Slanky the other week, and people were saying that he wouldn't be a good
No,
player. I think Slanky would be a good player.
No, I wouldn't.
No, again, like I said, it's everyone's opinion, but I think Slanky's a really good player, and I think even you could maybe go for Ivan Toney. He's played for you before. He's a good player.
Maybe.
Isaac's one of them players because he can't stay like.
I would have had Mitro, but I would have had Mitrovic. I really would have.
Yeah, but he fucked off to Saudi for the Zodo, didn't he?
Exactly,
so it says everything about him. But I tell you what, I mean, I would imagine Arsenal or maybe even Spurs would be sniffing around Toney, but Newcastle should be bang there looking for him in the summer.
How old is he now? 27 or something?
He's
might still be younger.
He's got enough in the tank, can he? Let's put it that way.
The thing that for certain as well is
he's just had
might not want to sell Solanke. Brentford have already come to the realisation that Ivan Toney is going. They've already signed a striker. They've already signed someone to replace him. He joins in the summer. They know he's going, so they're going to try and get as much as possible. But I think if you can get him for 50 million, I think that's a great deal in today's market. An English striker who I think is going to guarantee you 50
more top
goals.
50 to mid 60s, maybe something like that.
Yeah.
But like you say, in a Brentford team, he double figures every year. So if you're putting him in like you say, someone would service like Trippier or
I think the only risk you've got is in case he relapses with his betting and stuff. You know what I mean? That's the only
best mates with Tenali.
Exactly.
But yeah, so what do you think that it's signings? That's what you need to do to get to that level of being.
You need 20. Yeah, you need someone who's going to get you 20 goals. And someone that's going to stay fit, but then they're not guaranteed to stay fit because anything can happen, I suppose.
Of course, I agree with that. I think
you just need a wide man as well, to be honest.
I think you need a right winger. Yeah.
Almiron's just not.
I would have went for Doku. Really, like if he hadn't went from City. Like,
do you know what the thing is, though? Do you know last season? Yeah, City weren't really interested at the start. Mahrez was just like, you weren't certain he was going to go. No one was really sniffing around Doku, and he's been like one of them players. Exactly. Do you know he reminds me of, ironically, Isaac? Like, he had like a massive breakout, done fantastic, and then just like kind of like went under the radar for a couple of seasons, and then you went and bought him. The same thing happened with Doku. He done fantastic in the Euros, and then he just like dropped off the face of the earth, and then all of a sudden, Man City signed him for like 50 million.
I think it's the French league doesn't get much.
Yeah, tying into the wingers there and Doku with City, it'd be interesting to see what happens with Jack Grealish over the sort of next 12, 18 months, because he can't be happy sitting on the bench there behind Doku.
Yeah. I think it's mad though, because Doku's like predominantly a right winger as well. And he's been playing on the left.
And if Doku's not there, he puts Foden there, hasn't he? So,
I seen a stat the other day, like everyone was ranting and raving about Doku as well. Which rightly so, he's a good player, but he reminds me of St. Max a little bit.
Isn't he? He's raw.
But the thing is, like everyone was going on about how good he was. He got like quite a few goals and assists in the space like a few games, and then I think he's gone like 12 games without getting any goals or assists, and it just goes unnoticed.
Yeah,
I think it's because he plays for City. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Because the team's winning, probably.
He is very raw though, like you say, he's direct, but his end product's probably only at about, say,
a little bit like Maxi,
50-60%.
That's what I'm saying. He's like St. Max, like on the ball. Like, if you want to watch someone play football and just dribble and beat the man, like, and enjoy football for what it is, you can't go wrong with looking at that type of player. Like, I thought I can get why you sold him, but I wouldn't have sold St. Max. I genuinely believe that the player, in terms of like pre-Eddie Howe anyway, he was the only player in that team that I could have seen it going to like a world-class level. And obviously, I understand why you sold him, but I just think maybe if he didn't sign Anthony Gordon or Harvey Barnes and kept him, and you had, still two left wingers, or maybe you could even put Jolinton there. He's played there. Willock's played there a little bit as well, and then go by a right winger instead, or a striker. Because I think we'll all agree.
Even put Isaac on the left as well, couldn't he?
That's what I mean. Yeah, I think we'll all agree and say I think Almiron's been a good saving for you, but he's not good enough. Like going forward, you know what I mean?
The next level.
Weak, isn't he? Weak.
Yeah. Even Jared Bowen could be someone that
Jared Bowen would be a great
looking at.
I thought that as well. I hadn't thought how much for that. I couldn't believe he's actually just said it. I was sort of thinking that yesterday.
Doku Almiron, that sort of model, sort of. It reminds me of like a 17, 18-year-old Sterling. He's got everything to go and beat the man, but then you don't know what's going to come with his end product.
I said a couple of months ago, he reminds me of Asaidi when we signed him. Remember Asaidi?
Yeah.
What he reminds
me of. Is
that the kid that went to Stoke?
Yeah. It's similar now to Darwin Núñez.
He was that type of player. Like when he got the ball, like you were like, "What's he gonna do?" And then you knew once he beat his man 6 times, you were like, well, you know, may as well fucking wait till the next play now because he's just gonna play a shit pass. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's like Nunes now, isn't it? Like you're never really confident with him going for own goal, and then like the other week at Brentford where he does the most audacious finish possible.
Yeah.
But then if he goes to try and place that in the bottom corner, he probably puts it straight at the keeper or puts it fucking wide. Like
the thing is, though, ironically, in the position that he is, like Michael Owen done like a tweet about it, and everyone jumped on Michael Owen's back, and I can see what he's saying. I think we were all agreeing, saying 99% of strikers or attackers in that position take it round the keeper or just slot it past them. Do you know what I mean? But ironically, Nunes is not every other player. He's different, and
yeah, he's a fucking
the difficulty of his finish is probably harder. But at the same time, he arguably went for the right one because the keeper was so far off his line.
I thought you were going to say 99.9% of what comes out of Michael Owen's mouth is shit.
Well, yeah, and that as well. That's an interesting thing as well. Different, but talking about you as a striker, Callum Wilson's obviously nearly at the same amount of games missed or injuries, days injured as what Michael Owen did for you. So he just felt like he never played for you. Which is
Owen never tried though. Wilson tried. Wilson's application.
Callum Wilson's a great player.
Wilson's application
played for England in the last year. But this is what I'm saying. When you signed Isaac, we were talking about him in the Discord saying like he has got that little bit about him that he could get a few injuries.
Yeah.
And it was. Nunes has been like that for us, to be fair. Nunes has had a few injuries, hasn't he? Not like massive ones, but like ones where he's been out for like 3 or 4 weeks.
Jota's had a few, like, Jota's had some bad ones though, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Really
bad ones, yeah.
So, Newcastle, you're saying you need a centre-half and a 20-goal a season striker, so you've got 100 million. Go on.
If you could sign 3 players in 3 positions, realistically for Newcastle, who are you signing?
Yeah, that was the sort of route I was going to go down.
Because I feel like if you go like, let's say your best 11 is fit, but then you can add 3 players to it, who would you sign? Because I don't think this is that far. Like, not to get into all the FFP chat and all that, but all Newcastle fans and City fans are saying like FFP stops clubs from progressing, and I get the argument, and I agree to an extent, but then it's been kind of rubbished when you've had 12 months of new owners who are multi-billionaires and he's got top 4. You know what I mean? And then it's how you build on that.
If it's a striker, I would say.
Is it a striker? Is that what you're saying? If you got 3 positions to buy?
What, a striker? Yeah, I would definitely buy a striker, centre half.
Who would you go?
Realistically, I would probably go for Tammy Abraham.
Okay, I think that's realistic. What's your other 2 positions?
A winger and a centre back. The winger I would go for would be Federico Chiesa.
I think that's realistic. Centre back.
Maybe go for Eric Dyer. You know, if he was Tottenham, doesn't really seem like they want him.
No, Eric Dyer's shite, lad. You're taking the piss there.
No, Eric Dyer is the player that you bring in.
You're taking the piss.
Eric Dyer is the player that you bring in to replace like fucking.
Did I say Eric Dyer? I meant Kieran Dyer, man.
Kieran Dyer.
Fucking bring Lee Bowyer with him.
Yeah.
A centre half's a hard one, but
a good centre half's hard to come by, lads.
Exactly.
Yeah. You know, so's a 20-goal season striker.
As well,
Matthias still it. There you go.
Do you know what? He is achievable as well because he's fell out of favour. And the only problem I would say is that the summer, the new manager might come in and like him. Exactly. That might be why, but I think it's achievable.
You know what I'd do if I was
Newcastle? But I think Abraham's done well over when he's in Rome and he's playing up top on his jack. I think we would get goals out of him.
If I was Newcastle this summer and if they go down, but they're also in the shit with FFP, why don't go and get Jared Brantwaite from Everton? He's going to be quality, lads. I'm being dead serious.
I think that's actually a good one. That's to be fair.
They're going to need to go for FFP.
I've played a lot of Football Manager. I know he's quality.
I mean, I don't play Footy Manager. I just listen to some blue nose that we regularly talk shite. But
I didn't listen to him. Like,
I think that if I was the Newcastle, if I was in charge, I think you need a number 6 more than what you need any other position. Because I feel like if you get a number 6 in, you're unlocking Bruno Guimaraes more, Tonali and everyone else. Like this season, when I've watched which I've watched a lot of games, there's so much space in between your midfield defence. You haven't got a natural midfield destroyer that wants to defend.
Holder.
Yeah.
You haven't got it. And I just think that with the I'm not saying
I'm
they're
glad they
exactly
didn't
the
go and get
same,
Calvin
but
Phillips, like looking at how poor he's been. Like
he has been terrible. Bruno Gomes is a similar type of player to the way Alexis McAllister is for us. And I think the only difference I would say is, I'm not comparing them as footballers, but Alexis McAllister is a lot more disciplined than what Bruno Gomes is.
yeah,
So I don't just mean in terms of like sitting and defending. I mean in terms of like Bruno's had like 9 yellow cards.
Yeah.
And
He's got the discipline of an 18-year-old me in the bookies.
So what he's got, lad, he's got the discipline of a South American footballer. That's exactly what he's got.
Yeah.
Like, it might be stereotyping it, but that's exactly what he like.
I know what you mean.
If I was going to put a yellow card, a bet on
But
a yellow card,
it's part of his game. You don't change. You don't want to change
100%.
that. You know
But what I'm saying is, though, you want him doing that further up the pitch and not giving away free kicks like 30, 40 yards out. And you also want him making interceptions and high pressure and stuff, but you don't want him. He's just he should be sitting. He's too good on the ball.
If he's on a yellow card after 10 minutes, his game's fucked, innit?
Yeah.
You don't want him doing what he should. What I think you need someone doing. Like, let's say you're going by. I'm not saying he's wood and he's a bit older now, but Kimmich is meant to be available as well. Like, if you go and sign Kimmich, who's a world-class CDM, or you went and signed like Polina from Fulham, you should be so much better, lads. Because Polina is so good because he knows what his job is and he just does his job.
The Hoover, isn't he?
Fantastically, do you know what I mean? And I think if you went and signed someone like him, I think it's hard because, ironically, Connor's question, what do you need to get to challenge for top 4? I think, obviously, we expect everyone to sign players in the summer. I think he's just still a little bit away from that. 3 players might do that, but I think, ironically, you need more than 3 players.
Yeah, you're gonna lose probably about 4 or 5 at least from the. I think Almiron will go.
Yeah,
Wilson
I think Almiron will go.
I think Wilson will go.
Callum Wilson will go. If they can get a decent keeper in this summer, anything above 15 million or something, he's like 30 now, is he 31 or something? He's never fit.
He's not playing another game for the club, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Who's this, Callum Wilson?
Unfortunately.
Yeah, he'll end up fucking off abroad or something, I reckon him.
Sevilla or Espanyol.
Or maybe like a Luton or someone might take a punt on him. You know,
or maybe Saudi.
It could be worth, you know, even if you got 10, 12 goals for a team like Luton, that could be the difference between them staying up and going down.
Do you want to stay in the Premier League, I would think, though?
Yeah.
Not if he's getting offered 250 grand a week to go to Saudi.
Luton's not going to offer 250 grand to Saudi, though.
Yeah.
No, Luton's not. Luton would be looking at 250 quid.
Callum Wilson to Al Nassr for 450 million. Not suspicious about it.
FFP out the window.
Backhander.
Anyway, let's get off the Newcastle chat. We spoke about them for half an hour.
Yeah, fuck Newcastle. Up the Mackhams.
No, it's interesting. We speak about them a lot. We've got people in Discord that talk about them all the time. We speak to Mark all the time. Like, it's an interesting conversation to have because, like I said, he's a big, pretty much as much as not the banties. He hasn't won a trophy for a long time, but around the early 2000s, I'm laughing because you're laughing now. In the early 2000s, and especially in the 90s,
they won the championship.
He's been a team that you could definitely look at thinking you could challenge maybe for the league, but also even when you weren't doing that as good as that, he's getting Champions League football. You know, arguably the greatest striker the Premier League's ever seen, or the greatest goal scorer. You know, I don't know about you, but I think football now is better than what it used to be. But in terms of the actual enjoyment of it, was better then.
Yeah.
Like for me, I picture Newcastle now, and I just see Alan Shearer, Solano, players like that. Do you know what I mean? Like it's just
Jay Given.
Yeah, just like getting stickers and like getting a Premier League sticker book and stuff like that's what reminds me of like when I first got into footy. And Newcastle then were a lot better than what
have been previous.
Yeah,
who was that fullback Newcastle had in the early 2000s? Was it Carr or?
Yeah,
Carr?
Stephen Carr.
Stephen Carr, yeah.
Horrible little credit.
Baldy head. Right, anyway, so we'll go on to
Oh, Mark's on his travels. Travels with our father.
So we'll go on to the rest of the Premier League. So obviously we're, I think, 25 games into the season now, aren't we? With Liverpool, the only team that have actually played 26, I think. Is that right? Yeah, because even though we played Luton as an extra game, they had to have a game abandoned because of obviously
Tom Lockyer.
Obviously collapsed, didn't he? So what
do you think? What do you think on that one? By the way, lads, obviously he was on Sky on last weekend when he played United.
Did you see the video that he showed when he showed like the thing in his chest?
Yeah, I just don't think it's humanly right to put him through the levels of fitness and stuff that a Premier League player has to go through.
Yeah, Mark just makes me
Hang
laugh.
on, we'll all just stop while Mark gets his fucking mawams out the cupboard. No, but like seriously, you look at the intensity of some of the regimes and the fitness tests they've got to do. I suppose it's down to him at the end of the day. But
he said himself the other day that they're still doing tests, aren't they? And he's basically said like no matter what, his decision is going to be made based on what the doctors advise him to do. He's not going to like just play football and be selfish, like he said. Maybe the first time when he come back, he was maybe a little bit more selfish when he was just thinking of himself. And he said.
Like he's got a baby on the way in that now.
Yeah, he's got I think the baby. I think his wife's like, or his missus is like 8 months pregnant or something. Or
Luton will give him something behind the scenes, don't they, or on the coaching side, or scouting
look at,
or something. So
is it Mwepu who played for Brighton?
Yeah.
He obviously collapsed, didn't he? Or they found out that he had, something going on with his heart.
Irregular heart rhythm. Or something,
to give him a coaching job, didn't he? So I'd imagine. Like, especially Lockie, he's the captain. Do you know what I mean? Like, you'd expect him to, wouldn't you?
Like, obviously, it must be horrible having your career took away from you like that. But sure, like, I'm not being funny. Every time he lines up now in the tunnel, if he's going to, surely his head won't be fully there. Surely you've got to be thinking about.
But that's what I'm saying. That's what he said.
Last time I was on the pitch, I died for.
The thing is now, though, he's got that thing is like the thing in his chest, hasn't he?
The internal defib,
yeah. So he showed.
I don't know.
Yeah, so he's got like one like internally. So basically, he said like hopefully he never has to use it, but he said like basically when it does get used, like it's when it's like his heart rate goes like irregular or something like that. It's like you're literally shocking him while he's alive. That's what he said.
If his heart stops, it'll just like automatically kick in.
It doesn't get to the point where like what he was saying. Obviously, I'd imagine it will. Like, if it there's like touch wood, it doesn't. But there's obviously a chance it doesn't work. You know what I mean? Because it's. But
I've worked with a fella who had one in, lad, and it's fucking like it's mad. Like I'm to go and get it changed as well, like every 10 years, and that when the batteries die.
10 years, yeah.
It's mad.
He said that he basically explained it to him, saying like, it doesn't. It kind of like it knows when it's going to happen, so it shocks you then. And he says basically like getting a shock when you're alive. So it's obviously not going to be pleasant, but. You'd rather that happen than not have it in. Do you know what I mean? And run the risk of because I think last time he was out for like something ridiculous, like 5 minutes or something.
Yeah, I'm sure he's. Yeah, I'm sure he said like 4 minutes something the other day.
Yeah. Whereas I think the first time, like because he said like when it happened last time, they were all like looking like a little bit more concerned. Do you know what I mean? Of what was going on.
Yeah, because he said it was different to the first time, didn't he? Like this time was he was gone, wasn't he? He was basically gone until obviously.
It's scary though, isn't it? Because like
the defib.
I know you've obviously got bad health anxiety that I have, and you just look and think like I know obviously everyone's different. Like you see people live until they're like 70 or 80, and they could be overweight, smoke, drink, and all that. You dealt the cards you dealt. You know what I mean? Everyone's different, but just bad looking at someone. He's like, how old is he? Like 29. He's healthy. He's fit. He's a professional athlete, and his heart's not good enough for him in the sense that
mad, isn't it?
It's crazy, isn't it?
But then, like you say, it's also the stresses and strains that they put the heart under as well, isn't it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's part and parcel of.
Sorry,
being a Premier League player.
Yeah.
Sorry to go off on a tangent, but I just thought I'd mention it.
It's a good thing to speak about. Like I said, I think about like one of my biggest fears is health anxiety, and I think all the time about like something going wrong with my heart.
So if you were him now, would you play again?
Would I? I think it's hard to say because you don't know what position he's in. Like in my position, no, because I'm petrified of my heart, like something going wrong with it anyway.
Yeah.
But in the position that he's in, like he said, his decision will be based on what the doctors tell him. Like if let's say they say to him, listen, you're okay, you're healthy, you're fit enough to go play football again. That thing you've got in your chest is going to keep you healthy. Like, you're not healthy, it's going to keep you safe. If anything goes wrong, we've got the confidence in knowing that your heart is strong enough to get back beating again and stuff like that, or to basically for that to kick in and work and for you to be fine. I can't see why not, because at the end of the day, you can't also live your life worried about what could happen if you've been told that you should be fine. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like science and everything now in football is the best it's ever been, and we're not we don't know anything about that, but you'd assume they're doing that many tests where like they're pretty much going to be certain for it to not happen again, or if it does, he's going to be fine. Do you know what I mean? But it's happened with
Either way, hopefully
David a few times, hasn't he, as well?
He's finished now, though, hasn't he?
No, he's still playing. He's playing for I can't remember. He's playing for. He went to Ajax there, I think.
He was at Ajax, yeah.
He's still playing. But yeah,
people come out with, it's the COVID jab, all this, that, and the other. But the people were collapsing. Players were collapsing on the pitch.
Yeah, look at Mark Vivian Foe.
Took the words out.
Fabrice Muamba. Like
Muamba, yeah. When was Muamba? Like 2008 or something?
Yeah. Maybe he's a bit.
I can't remember, but before fucking COVID, anyway.
We're not doctors at the end of the day. We all know, as adults, the side effects to everything, medication-wise.
Yeah.
Now, we all know that the jab was rushed because they have to try and rush it. Is that contributing to people having heart attacks and many other medical complications? Possibly. We don't know.
Did you both have it, didn't you?
No, I haven't. I'm the biggest hypochondriac in the world. I hate needles.
I've had two. I had two. Like
I've had two.
It doesn't matter whether I knew there was 100% success rate. I still wouldn't have had it. I don't like needles. I didn't have it based on the fact of like being worried about it being quickly put together.
You wouldn't go to the dentist, didn't get a tooth out.
No.
2012 Muamba, by the way. Well done, Mark.
But anyway, back onto the Premier League. So
I said 2011, but
oh, did you? Fucking hell, Mark, you're shite.
On average, 25 games played this season. Liverpool have played 26. Bournemouth have played 24. Obviously, because of the reason we've just been speaking about with Lockyer.
Who's top of the table, lad?
Top of the crop, Liverpool. The question is that I want to ask you two. I still think City are going to win the league. Mark's is eating as many eggs. This is more of a question to go away from Liverpool and City, because I think most people think that they've got the best chance to win the league, and I think bookies and odds and stuff are pointing towards them more. Can Arsenal win the league? Do you think they'll win the league? Do you think they've got a chance?
They can, but I don't think they will.
Haven't got the minerals.
But at the minute, they're the ones who are getting, the rub of the green in terms of injuries, aren't they? I mean, obviously Champions League footy's back now, and after the other night's performance, they might only have one more game left in the competition. You never know, but I think you look at City are probably now turning a corner with injuries in terms of De Bruyne is basically back now, isn't he? Haaland is.
Well, he got another knock the other day when he had to stay on the bench because he felt something.
Yeah,
he wasn't able to play the other day in the Champions League.
Rodri never seems to get injured. And then on the flip side of it, now you look at Liverpool's fucking injury list. Jesus Christ, it couldn't come at a worse time.
It's not even we have this conversation all the time. It's not even just a case of how many players Liverpool have got injured. It's how many important players.
It's who, yeah.
It's we have conversations all the time about team will go we're missing 10, 15 players or something. But they'll be naming players that have had one appearance for the last 4 years.
Yeah.
Liverpool.
Like Mankiw.
Yeah, well, yeah, it is a good example. It's there's been loads of posts last couple of days about Liverpool's injuries. People name it sports, betting pages and stuff, and Sky Sports. And everyone's commenting on it, and I comment just taking a picture saying, you've missed Ben Doak off the list. You've missed Ben Doak. Just as a joke. Because, he's literally played, he's probably played about 300 minutes for us, ever. He's a kid. But that's, the type of player that, when you're having conversations on the internet, that people are, naming players that, just don't get played.
Yeah. It's not a miss, is it? You're not missing them necessarily. It's like Thiago playing fucking 8 minutes in the last 12 months. We have missed him, but in terms of this season, we haven't. Yeah. Because he's not been there.
We'd love to have him because he's so good. But at the same time, we all know that the likeliness of us being able to rely on him has been, next to none. You know what I mean?
Ridiculous.
It's again, if Liverpool don't win the league this season, it'll be for two reasons, which I don't think they will anyway. I think City will, because we're not good enough, and because of the injuries. And now I'm not trying. The injuries is not the main reason. The reason why I'm saying that is because I think we have got good squad depth, but I also think that if we keep getting injuries out we have right now, we are nowhere near good enough with the team that we have got to compete with City.
I think we're a centre back Van Dijk or Canate injury away from being absolutely fucked. To be honest with you, I mean, luckily enough now, like Trent's out for 6 weeks, Alisson's out for. I mean, Alisson's a big one.
Yeah,
because I don't care what you say. Like Callagher's a great keeper, but it's chalk and cheese compared to Alisson.
He has been good.
It's the experience as well, though, isn't it? They haven't got that experience, and
that's it.
Knowing what to do in certain situations, but pardon me, he's not going to get any better by not playing, by sitting on the bench.
He's been great, like I said.
He's a young lad.
Quite happy with how he's played, but
plays most of your cup games, doesn't he?
We've got City. And how long is it? Like 2 weeks away or something. And like, there's a chance that Salah might be fit, Szoboszlai and Núñez. That's a massive boost. But then not having Alisson, like I just go back to last season when Salah scored that goal and like he span. Was it last season or was it the season before?
Against City when he spanned from the kickoff.
Yeah, when he spanned Cancelo, and it's just like,
yeah.
Like, don't get me wrong. The other day when Kelleher was playing against Luton, he kept playing like really good long passes through the middle, and it actually created a few like we nearly scored a couple of times with Diaz, but like I think Alisson's distribution goes a little bit unnoticed sometimes. Like he's not just a great shot stopper, he's not just great at like being an actual goalkeeper. He's actually really good with his feet as well. Maybe not as good as Ederson, but you know, in terms of like the actual standard of the keeper of how good they are with the feet.
I think we all make mistakes, mate. Don't they? Like I say, we get magnified a hell of a lot.
Yeah,
more
100%. I think he's a massive miss for us. Like,
yeah,
he's
someone of that quality is going to be on the.
It's not even like it's not even the
80 million pounds
like,
worth of goalkeeper. Of course, it's going to be a miss.
Yeah, and I just think that it's again. I'm not trying to blame any injuries because ultimately, I've said all season I think City will win the league, and it's not because I'm trying to like play down how like, you know, if Liverpool don't win it or anything, like, I always said City. I genuinely just think that I think Liverpool have been the best team in the league this season, but I also think that I still think City have got another level to go up to, do you know what I mean? And I think if we had a full fit team, I think we can kind of match that level. But I just think there's more chance of City hitting that level and staying at it for a prolonged period of 10 games than what it is for Liverpool to hit that level.
With the injuries that you've got.
Not even with the injuries. I mean, if we've both got a fully fit squad, I think Liverpool, if we could keep a fully fit 11, I think we can beat anyone on our day. But I just think City are just like a perfectly oiled machine. Yeah, it's literally like the way I see them. I just think that there's still that chance of. I think the game against us at Anfield's going to be a massive game, but I also don't think that decides the league. I think it'll be the games like City have got to play Spurs, which history has showed that they're not really great against them. But then we've got to play United at Old Trafford, and as much as I think we're a lot better than United, I still have anxiety with playing teams like that. Like I don't know what it is. Like,
well, look at the game at Anfield, for example.
They've got that bit of class, haven't they, throughout the team, and who can score a goal out of nothing. Rashford's lazy as out, but he can still score good goals.
It's going to be interesting to see how well Arsenal end the season, because like I think they do play some good football, but I think City.
They've needed to stick with the manager. They've needed to stick.
Yeah.
They've needed to stick with the manager.
Yeah, I agree. I think Ten Hag could be someone that they stick with, and he might do well eventually. I just also think that this could be a good time for them to change the manager at the end of the season, because they've got so many changes coming in, and it feels like this summer, and like it could be like this could be the next Man United. You know, with like obviously getting the new ownership or part ownership.
Yeah,
obviously trying to get Dan Ashworth. They've brought in that fella from Man City. Trying to get someone else they were trying to get in the other day, but I think Chelsea ended up getting them. But they tried to bring a lot of people in at the top who if not had there. You know what I mean? And that is something that's being set in stone in place at a club the size of Man United, like forever.
It's getting that structure back, isn't it?
Exactly. And I just think, could it maybe the time where Liverpool are getting a different manager, Guardiola could leave potentially soon? Would it be potentially a bad thing for them to go out and go, do you know what? Let's go and get someone else in now. I don't think Ten Hag's done good enough. I don't think he's good enough. I know he has, but I just think you need to give people time to a certain extent. That don't like him as well, and I just think that he could keep him and he might do well. I just don't think he will. And I think this could be I think there's better managers out there than him. And I think right now, Man United are in a phase of transition where it'd be absolutely stupid to pay 20 million for Dan Ashworth, but it won't surprise me if they do. because they know that they need to do shit like this now to get it all in place by the time to basically prepare for the summer and go again next season, because they might end up getting top 4 this season, and it'll be because Spurs end up bottling it. You know what I mean? Because Man United have not been good enough. I just think right now them going to get another manager could be something I don't want to see them do, to be honest, because I'd rather Ten Hag stays.
Dan Ashworth's on garden leave, isn't he? So
that's what I'm saying, yeah. But that's what, like, obviously the price is meant to be like 20 million or something, isn't it?
Yeah.
Which is ridiculous. Like, Man United shouldn't pay that. But at the end of the day, you might do. I think it's going to be interesting. I can understand why.
They paid 80 million for Anthony, mate.
The problem is, though, you say that now, but you paid that before Radcliffe come in. Different. They're trying to go down a different route now, do you know what I mean? So, who knows? I want to ask you about Aston Villa. So, obviously, we mentioned, obviously, Emery's come in and he's done fantastic since he took over, but I feel, I don't know, that, like, you know more than anyone, Mark. Like, you've played them twice this season already, and you beat them both times, and you've smashed them. But, like, this season in general, they've been a lot better than you in terms of, like, performances, but you still, like, there's a good chance they get top 4 and get Champions League football. But do you still think that, like, they're still missing something that is, like, keeping them away from, like, being a set to get, like, top 4? Or do you think that, like, they are good enough to, like, finish comfortably in top 4?
I think they would, like, they're pretty much quite similar to us. They need another striker. Relied on Ollie Watkins is a little bit too much for goals. I think they lost Buendia. I think Buendia had a bad injury. Maybe he's another 10 goals. He's not a bad little player. Seen enough for him. I think he's been injured, but like I think Tielemans he's done all right when he's coming. He hasn't really scored that many. Scored maybe a couple. Leon Bailey, I think Diaby on the left scored about 4 or 5. John McGinn chips in with goals.
John McGinn's been class, you know. Like, they're one of the players this season.
They're a decent side. I just think I think the defence has looked a lot better apart from when they've played us. They've been found out in maybe the last month or so. I think they've had a couple of bad results, but
yeah.
Douglas Luiz has stepped up as well.
Don't you? You're not always going to be at the peak. Do you know what I mean? They're playing sort of Premier League. They'll be playing. I think they're playing Europa League or Europa Conference as well. I know they haven't been playing that, but they had been. They can catch up to you. Do you know what I mean? They're playing Monday. Sorry, they're going to be playing Sunday, Thursday, Sunday, whatever. Do you know what I mean? So. Is their squad big enough?
Didn't they? They were beating United 1-0, ended up losing 2-1. Did they? And they absolutely.
Is their squad going to be strong enough?
2-0 up. They were 2-0 up against United, weren't they? And it finished 3-2.
That was the other game. I'm on about the one recently, like 10 days ago.
I mean, is their squad going to be big enough to do that? And maybe they'll have an FA Cup game.
That's one thing I will say. Is though, like that's what I would. That's
what
I'd
haven't
say.
got none of this. We haven't got. We've fair enough.
I genuinely think Villa have got the squad to play European football. Like if you look at their team, like you've got a fantastic start at 11, but like you've just mentioned obviously players like Tielemans. Tielemans doesn't start for them.
No,
and he's still a good level player. Like you've got try to think of some of the players that don't. So like you've got the likes of Langley, who doesn't normally start. Like let's say they start. Let's say they got a fully fit squad, and they start Tyrone Mings and Pau Torres. You've then got Concert, who's been amazing this season.
Mm-hmm.
You've got Langley, and you've also got Diego Carlos. That depth at centre back is ridiculous. Like let's say they have their best midfield free, or whatever you want to say, or like even with the forwards kind of. That also means that potentially Buendia doesn't start, Jacob Ramsey doesn't start. They're 2 very good players as well.
Mm-hmm.
I think they've got really good depth.
One of Diaby or Bailey doesn't start because they interchange. So that's 2 class players for the right hand side.
Really made me realise how good he is. I think Douglas Luiz is a lot better than what I thought he was.
Yeah, he stepped up massively this season.
A year ago, yeah, and he's like, I
he
didn't
knows
think
his
he was
role,
good.
doesn't he?
Yeah.
There's rumours around us in the summer as well.
It's the type of player Newcastle's missing. That CDM who will sit.
Kamara's done well for them as well, but he's just got an injury, hasn't he?
Yeah.
And they got him on a free transfer like 2 years ago.
Babukar or something?
Something like that.
Babacar Kamara.
Yeah.
How are you, man?
Well, how are you? Like, I'm kind of doing the course, like.
Yeah,
Babacar Kamara.
Going on back to before, we were speaking about Newcastle in terms of like the league table, so like there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 5 teams in the table that are literally 3 points apart, and that is from 11th to 7th in the table. So Newcastle, Brighton are 7th with 38, and then Wolves are 11th on 35, and then in between that's Newcastle, West Ham, and Chelsea. So that's what I'm saying. Like any of them teams could finish 7th, and they could also finish 11th. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then you've even got like West Ham haven't won a game in the last 5 games. They've lost 3 and drew 2.
Yeah.
And like they
On
were
a bit of a
like
down
they were doing
spiral,
all right,
aren't they?
weren't they? Like up until maybe a month or 2 ago, they were like looking at they could maybe get Europa League football, and I think now you're looking at maybe they won't get any European football unless they do really well in the. Are they still in the Europa League? They are, aren't they?
Yeah.
They got Freiburg today, I think, in the draw.
Yeah.
Their
the
goal
new
difference, by the way, yeah,
Sparta
is
Prague.
-8, which is worse than Everton's. Everton right now, if they had their points, they would be 12th in the table as well, above Fulham. But they'd also only be 5 points behind Chelsea, which is just mad to think, isn't it? Really, considering how much
It's a
money they spent. I reckon Luton will stay up, you know.
Hope so.
Really do.
Hope so.
I hope they do as well. I like them. I think.
Who do you want to go down then? Sheffield United, Burnley.
I think Sheffield United, Burnley, and Forest. I don't want Everton to go down. Like, as much as
Because
it'd
you
be a laugh,
want
it'd be
because you
funny.
want the derby. Because you want the derby.
Yeah, it's not even just that. I don't even mind Everton anymore. Like, I don't see them like the way like they have a rivalry with us that we have with like United. We don't see them like that. I don't anyway. Like when I say like when the fixtures come out at the start of the season, I look where United game is, and then I normally look where the City game is, and then I'll look through and see where the Everton game is.
Get the violin out for fucking Coronation Street. Sorry.
But yeah, I don't. I
Fucking silly
actually think Luton will stay up though. I think they've done well enough to stay up. They've both had 4 points over the last 5 games, but Luton have lost 3. Everton have won none though in that time. Do you know what I mean? They've drew 4. You can't keep drawing games. If you keep drawing games, you know you're only getting points.
Who have Luton played in those last 5 as well? Though obviously us and United were 2.
They played us, United, Sheffield United at home. They got beat against. That's a big one, by the way.
Yeah.
They played Newcastle, and they also played Brighton as well. They beat Brighton 4-0, lads. So they beat Brighton.
It's Brighton, yeah.
Yeah, drew 4-4 against Luton. Got beat against Sheffield United. Got beat against. You know what the ironic thing is? The Newcastle Luton game could have went either way. Like, definitely could have went literally either way.
Oh, I agree.
Weren't Luton like 4-2 up or something?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's the Man United Luton game. Luton could have won that. The only game where they've been massively outplayed really was against us. Even the Sheffield United game, they didn't get massively outplayed. Like, if you look at the stats here, Luton had 20 shots, Sheffield United had 7. Luton had 75% possession, Sheffield United had 25%. Luton had 563 passes, and Sheffield United had 192. I watched a bit of the game, like it was.
So you look at them points there, the 2. I mean, obviously, you're not expecting Luton to go to Newcastle and get 3 points, but when you're 4-2
But if you look at the
up,
amount of passes they're trying to make, they're trying to play football. They're
Yeah.
trying
Yeah,
to
I
play
know what I mean,
football.
but like it's ironic because when they come up, their first like couple of months, they didn't look great, and like ironically, like everyone thought Burnley were going to come up and try and like play very very good football, and it just hasn't worked for Luton. They actually look like a really good football team. Like they actually play some good football as well. Like they'll try and get at you, and it seems to just work. Like that Ogbenny scores against us the other day, and he looks like a really good player. Ross Barkley for me. I put a poster as a score just to say like, could Endo be like the best value for money signing? And I think he's up there, but I think Ross Barkley could be it. You know, he costs nothing. Like he's a free transfer.
I
Like,
wouldn't
genuinely,
agree.
like I've seen him control the midfield against so many teams. Like, and it's just mad because like he went to France, didn't really do well there, and then he's ended up coming back to the Premier League, getting a move to Luton, who everyone put forward, they're just going to get relegated and end up playing in the Championship. And I said to Gareth, you still the day before. I'm surprised Everton didn't take a gamble on him. He'd be amazing for them now. They could do it like someone like that. I don't think that they've got a player that controls the game for them.
Well,
No,
it was more like.
What?
Sorry, no, go for it, Gareth.
I was just going to say, like in terms of Everton, you don't really see like Gay dictating the game or Anana's. I think he's had an injury, and I know he was on the bench today. But
They have Corey playing further forward as well now, don't they?
yeah, they just haven't got that one person, have they? That sort of goes.
They've tried to do it in the past, like they signed, like not exactly the same, but you've signed players like kind of like more advanced in terms of like Sigurdsson and like Rodriguez and players like that. And I think
Davy Klaassen and stuff like that.
yeah, it hasn't really worked. Whereas I think. Like, I think Ross Barkley's a knobhead. Like I've seen, like you've probably seen a few. No, he is, lad. There's videos of him when he's been out in towns regular that, and he seems like a bit of a knobhead. But
there was a reason he had to leave Liverpool.
Like, this season, like he's up there with me in terms of like thinking of like everyone keeps going on about Declan Rice. He cost 100 million. Like, don't get me wrong.
He's doing his job. To quote Roy
he's
Keane,
doing well, but like. If Ross Barkley was like 23, 24 now, it'd be like Chelsea be trying to buy him for 100 million in the summer. He would. Like, I'm not messing, he would, lad. Or like City or Liverpool or someone would be trying to get him for like maybe not as much as that, like 40, 50 million. That's how good he's been.
Touching on Chelsea, I think their standout transfers definitely got to be Cole Palmer on it. He's done well. I know he's dropped off a little bit last few weeks, but
yeah.
I think without him and maybe without his goals, God knows where they'd be.
Well, I don't know if you watched the City game. When was it, last week or something? And Chelsea played really well. They probably could have scored 5 or 6 goals. And I was watching like a podcast the other day, and he was talking about like the game, and he basically saying like, why did he take Cole Palmer off? As soon as Cole Palmer went off, like there was just nothing. There was no outball,
no outlet
at all. And that's when City scored. And obviously, we'll go on to this will be the transition that we can do now to go on to the final on Sunday. We're obviously playing them, and he's probably the player that you look at in their team where you think if they're going to do something or have a chance of winning, he's got to be on his game. And it's just interesting to see, like, obviously, another thing that on the podcast that he mentioned, he was talking about, like, obviously, like Cole Palmer's gone into Chelsea, he's done fantastic. And do you think like Guardiola could be regretting it a little bit now because I think they sold him for like 40 million or something, and he's so good. Like he's been fantastic. Like literally one of the signs of the season. I don't think anyone anticipated he was going to be that good. And he's probably the only player that they've signed really that has actually done really well. That I can think of off the top of my head. Like you can
I thought Jackson would have done better, mind.
Well, he did in pre-season. I was saying like he was going to be great this season, and I said this the other day. Like he kind of reminds me a bit of like Nunes, but just like a much worse player. Like a bit like Captain Chaos, but just like
reminds me a bit like Demba Ball, really.
He just like I remember watching him when he were playing against.
Didn't think they'd get him.
When they were playing, when he played Spurs and Spurs had like 2 players sent off, and it was just like he ended up getting a hat-trick, I think. But like ironically, if he had any other capable striker in that team, he would have scored like 7 or 8 goals.
What was Spurs doing in that game? By the way,
that was I was in Amsterdam. I was watching it at the bar.
It's ridiculous. Like Spurs had like 9 men, and the holding a high line on the halfway line.
Mad. Like, it was absolutely mad.
That's what Villa done. Villa done it this season against us, and we beat them 5-1 and 3-1.
This was like 10 times worse. Like I know what you're on about. The first game that you played Villa at your ground, like I thought it was an even game. The score I think flattered yous, but I think
Alex.
You've done exactly what you needed to do. Though the high line that they were playing worked perfect. Like I remember seeing a ball where like Harvey Barnes got a ball into him like in behind, and I was just sitting there thinking, just drop back 5 yards. Like just try and like just do something, change it, and I get obviously
perfect for us.
Exactly, you know he's played well and he's got the points. And like looking at that game against Spurs, we see loads of people saying, "Oh yeah, but it's Ange ball. We want to see him do this." No, you don't. Chelsea are terrible. No. Drop back 15 yards. I just
Chelsea can't
defend.
Take it. They're terrible to keep as well. Get on that.
Do what we did when we went to Tottenham, went down to 9 men. It took a fucking own goal in the last minute for them to beat us, but we just we protected our box, didn't we, and fucking stay compact, not leave 50, 60 yards of space in behind for the like.
You just play two banks of 4, don't you? Really?
That's what I'm saying. No, like I don't know if you've seen the match. This is what I'm alluding to now. Like the difference between like when you play Villa compared to Chelsea playing Spurs. Like Chelsea will pass the ball around the midfield like 5 yards in their half. Spurs were literally on the halfway line. Like their furthest player back was on the halfway line.
And it was just one ball through, wasn't it?
The amount of times the ball was getting like played out to the right and then just played through. Mm-hmm. And it was like, if you could beat the offside trap of like them being maybe a yard into their half and the ball
still another few chances
through on goal 1-on-1. And it happened loads of times with, it's what I'm saying, like any capable, like if you would have had Haaland or Isaac or Nunes or Ivan Toney or someone playing in that team, Chelsea would have scored 6 or 7 or 8 goals, genuinely. because it was just you can't play a Premier League football game like that with 9 men. You can't.
I'm sure Van der Ven was out at that point, wasn't he, for Spurs?
Yeah, he got injured in that game, didn't he?
Was it that game?
So Madison got injured as well.
Madison got injured, and so did Mickey Van der Ven.
So they didn't even have his pace to rely on, did they? And
they had Eric Dyer on. I think they had
Davis
playing centre back. Like, and Edogie got sent off as well. So all their pace was gone in the back line.
Yeah.
It was
ridiculous.
Absolute suicide. This should not be done. Anyway, back into the chat about Chelsea. So, the finals on Sunday, obviously, first trophy of the season, or first major trophy, if you want to still call it that. And obviously, Gareth winning the final, we split Liverpool. What would you like?
Mark, you can go now, mate, if you want.
We're going to get out to the final from last year in a minute. So going into the final, obviously we're missing a lot of players. It's very unlikely that Núñez, Szoboszlai, Salah are going to play based on what the journalists have said at around 10:30 with the embargo section. What do you worry about the most in terms of like Chelsea?
I think we touched on this a little bit the other day, didn't we? And it's that it's how they can now adapt their game if we haven't got that pace in behind of Núñez and Salah, if neither of them play. So that allows them to push up the pitch. Now, if they're going to push up, obviously we hold a pretty high line ourselves as well, don't we? Not necessarily fucking Spurs level, but you know, if they can squeeze the pitch in the midfield and counter us with the likes of Sterling, Palmer, Jackson, Mudryk, whether he plays or whoever else, then that's sort of my fear with them counter-attacking us, because you'd expect us to have more of the ball. It's just whether... It all depends, really, on what Liverpool turn up on Sunday. If a Liverpool team turn up who want to play football and pass Chelsea off the park and go and win the game, they will do that. But it just depends on the personnel out on the pitch.
I think if Thiago Silva starts, I think he's got a much better chance.
Do you reckon that he might do as well? He's been injured. Do you reckon to say like there's been a couple of reports today saying that he should be fit, but whether or not he's going to play or not, they don't know.
He's been terrible. I think he's 37.
This could be his last season, couldn't it? I think he's a great player, by the way, but he is getting. He's like 39 now, isn't he?
I think you could see Salah and Núñez on the Liverpool bench. Like, don't think we'll see Szoboszlai. I just think that's a bit of a.
I said this in a WhatsApp chat I'm in today. Like, if they are not fully fit to the point where like you're happy to start them, I wouldn't put them on the bench either.
I think your experience that he's got. McAllister's played World Cup final. He's played finals, but obviously more than a World Cup final. Do you know what I mean? Like, he would have played a few. He's a good enough player to have been playing in finals.
We've got a more good enough team to beat Chelsea.
Van Dijk's got experience of playing in finals and stuff like that.
Form goes out the window when you're playing in a final. Last season, in my opinion, when you played Man United in the final, you were playing better football than them. The occasion, I think, got to use a little bit though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We should be able to handle the occasion better than them, though. Like you say, we've still got
been there, done it.
Van Dijk will be in the team, Robertson will be in the team, McAllister will be in the team.
What would your lads line up? The starting lineup? So it'll be Kelleher goal.
It'll probably be literally the same as what we played against Luton the other day.
It'll have to be.
So it'll be Kelleher in goal, Robertson,
Van Dijk,
Quanta won't play with
right back and take Conor Bradley out and put Robertson left back.
No.
Bradley
will play. He's been good enough to play, lads. Like, when he played the other day against Luton, he was fantastic again.
Fair enough.
And one thing that we're seeing with, like, he got a lot more hype 2 or 3 or 4 weeks ago because he was getting goals and assists. He doesn't have to do that. He doesn't have to do that all the time. He's not Trent. It's watching him play is more like seeing Robertson playing right back than what it is seeing Trent. Like, he's not the same type of player as Trent.
He can defend, can't he?
So it's not even just that he can defend, he's just a different player.
Your 2 centre-halves are Van Dijk and Canate, are they?
You'd expect so, yeah. Canate didn't play the other day.
Gomez left back?
No,
Robertson.
I think Robertson will start.
Do you think Gomez...
So probably Robertson, Van Dijk, Canate.
Was unlucky to not be playing
Gomez. Midfield will likely be Endo, McAllister and Gravenberch, and then it'll be Diaz, Gakpo and Harvey Elliott. That's what Unless... one of the players we've mentioned before, like Núñez, Salah or Szoboszlai, fit.
If Mo's fit enough for the bench, I think, like you say, he'll probably start him, and maybe Núñez could be the one that comes off the bench, which would mean Harvey Elliott's probably the one that misses out unless he drops Gravenberch, drops Harvey into the midfield three.
Imagine being Harvey Elliott, because a week ago, not even, maybe 3-4 weeks ago even, you would think sort of, he probably wouldn't have started the cup final if everyone's fit and knew he's going to be
not even 1% chance if everyone's fit. Not that he's not a good
Mental,
player, just the other
exactly.
players are better.
Exactly.
But you've also got the same end
You
of
grab the
Curtis
opportunity, don't you? You grab the
Curtis Jones
opportunity.
should be starting the final. He's fit. He's been fantastic.
Yeah.
Diogo Jota should be. You know what I mean?
2 weeks ago, it's Endo, Jones, McAllister, Diaz or Nunes on the left. Take your pick. Jota through the middle and Salah on the right.
Yeah.
Just shows how quickly it all changes, doesn't it?
It's just bare bones, though, isn't it? And then the bench is going to be what?
The other night we had 8 players, 21 and under, in the squad.
You like that, don't you? Unfortunately,
I like it. It was good, but especially
you like it to an extent.
It when it's going well for you.
Yeah, exactly.
To an extent. Not when it's not going well. Obviously, everyone that's like, you'd have that. I'd rather have Jota on the bench than fucking the young lad that we brought on. What was his name?
Our team the other night was like a third round Carabao Cup squad.
Yeah,
it was, wasn't it? We had like 2 left backs on the bench with Simicast and Robertson. The rest were just fucking kids.
Yeah,
we had.
Welcome to my world for the past 3 months.
It's just one of them that you've got to deal with. Though it's like Chelsea are missing players as well. Like maybe not as more senior as what we're missing, but they're still missing quite a few players. I'm not sure if Nkunku's going to play, which I hope he doesn't because I think he's probably their best player.
If your fixtures are nice, we'll get this cup final out of the way. You said you're going to play City. City's playing after that.
We need to try and if we can get through the final and City with not losing, we have got a chance to do something great this season. We have to not lose. That's it.
Well, we know Alisson, Trent, and Jota
means we win, and then not losing against City means that we've both played each other home and away, and then the season's going to rely on playing the lower teams. But Liverpool, I've got the upper hand by having more points. Do you know what I mean?
If we don't lose the game against City as it stands now, because we're a point ahead of them if they win the game in hand.
Yeah,
it's basically don't lose that game, innit? I know you need you want to go and win it, but if you can't win it, don't fucking lose it. It's like
one thing I will say is though, if the crowd gets up for it like it did the second half against Luton, we'll beat them. No matter what team we play.
That atmosphere against City will be unbelievable.
Like Rob Edwards said the other day, like that's the second half, like Liverpool, like that was just.
He just said that was Anfield, didn't he? That was Liverpool.
Yeah, like there was quotes from like Luton fans saying like that's the best team we played this season, that second half, like the whole season. Like we were so good and we were just ironically in the first half, like we was three in a chat together, like I was saying like we should have scored. Should have been 2 or 3 up in the first half. And it wasn't the case of just like the second half where we were much better, but we took our chances and we created more clear-cut chances, and it was just like it was weird because we played in the second half as if like we had like a fully fit squad, like so many players who have been giving us a little bit of anxiety of like thinking, I'd rather Salah be playing all this and that. He just played great, like everyone played well. Do you know what I mean?
I think that's the flip side as well, isn't it? See your fringe players having to come in, like they want to prove themselves, so they should be squeezing that extra 10-20% out of each other. Like
Harvey Elliott in the second half was fantastic, like absolutely real.
Cody Gakpo, I think, like he's obviously one that's on the fringe, and then you're looking midfield in terms of Gravenberch and stuff like that. Obviously, he's still got a lot to prove. So
he played well as well, yeah.
Your fringe players should be technically really giving you more than what you week in, week out players should, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Just because they've got more to prove and they want to break into the team.
I think everyone's like hypercritical when it comes to like football in general nowadays, though. I think because City, and I think we did a couple of seasons ago as well, like I want to give us a bit of praise because I think we were fantastic. Set the level so high of like what the Premier League can be. Like it's just like unknown for it to like you need to have over 90 points to win the league. And, like over the last like 5 or 6 years, it's been at a point where like you think, we lost, probably not going to win the league now. And you could be sitting there saying that after like 15 games. It's just ridiculous. And I think
if you lose 1 or 2 games, you just think it's over.
That's what I'm saying. Like that's what I mean by I say like hypersensitive when it comes to like just like not first half Liverpool were good, And like, if we carried on that into the second half, there'll be so much of a meltdown. Because no disrespect to Luton, we should be beating them, and we should have beat them at their ground. But that's the thin margins. Like I said this before, I said it earlier. Like I think Liverpool have been as good as City. I think Liverpool have been the best team in the league this season. The table doesn't lie. We scored the most goals. We've got 5 attackers who've scored 10 plus goals each. We're doing really well. But Liverpool can still get better. But so can City. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I just think that if we want to win the league, we need to treat every single league game like a final. The fans need to treat it like a final because we have still got a lot of players that are still a little bit inexperienced that are not at that level yet. I know we've got players that are at that level, the likes of Van Dijk and Salah and stuff, but we still got we've got a brand new midfield that's come in. Like Wataru Endu's been fantastic. We paid 15 million for him, and there was so much negativity around the signing because he's basically brought in to be like the Milner type player, where he can play right back, he can play centre back, he can play CDM.
He's fucking good on the ball as well.
He's so good, like it's crazy. Like
is he neat, just dead neat and tidy?
He's just like he does all the stuff that you want to.
He's your 8 out of 10 every week, isn't he?
That's what I mean. He's so consistent, and it's just like he shouldn't be doing as well as what he has. He's 30 or just turned 31. We signed him for 15 million from a team that finished like bottom half the table in Germany. And, like it just doesn't feel right. Shield. Like Szoboszlai is someone that I'm not gonna play him down too much because I think everyone knew how good he was when we signed him. Like he had a high role. He's just turned 23, I think. And he's the captain of Hungary. He's been playing like European football, like high level for like 3 or 4 years. He's not like an unknown, but he's still a new player that has to come into the midfield. Alexis McAllister, another player that has had to do a completely different role this season compared to what he normally does. And like I don't know what it is, but week by week, these players just seem to be getting better and better as well. It's just ridiculous. But they're also not there yet. They're not Rodri. They're not Kevin De Bruyne. They're not Bernardo Silva. Like they're not. You know what I mean? It's as simple as that. They are better footballers, in my opinion, anyway. So I think Liverpool still got some time to go. If we win the league this season, we've had to have been, 110% compared to 100%. You know what I mean?
If we win it this year, it's similar to Newcastle finishing 4th last year. Like we compared to last season, the drop off we had, and then obviously, like you say, not only just the players that went out, but the leadership and the experience that went out in the summer. And then, like you say, like McAllister's a little bit different because he had the Premier League experience, but Endo, no Premier League experience. Szoboszlai, he's 22. He's 22. He's still a fucking kid, or just turned 23. He's still a kid. No Premier League experience. You know what I mean? Like the changes are massive. But I was talking to the lads who I used to go to the game with the other day, and City aren't probably going to lose 2 or 3 games, but if they can go and sort of draw 3 games, it's basically 2 defeats in it. It's 6 points dropped. So I don't know. Have they still got Arsenal? Have they done Arsenal home and away?
Arsenal, yes, he has.
They've got us, and they've got to go to Spurs, and they've got to go to
United. Got to play United as well.
United's next weekend,
and the Champions League and the FA Cup.
Yeah,
I mean, obviously,
it's going to be a. I think as football fans, like we take the piss. We talk about the fixtures on Sunday after, like, who is it? Wolves play like Sheffield United or something. It's not a great game of football, but the Premier League's the best league in the world. And if you're a neutral or someone that wants to see Liverpool, City, or Arsenal fail, you're going to enjoy the title race this season. Or if you're one of their fans of them teams, you know what I mean? And it's kind of like good to see it be like that instead of like 2 teams. When was the last time we had a 3-horse title race? I can't remember. Genuinely can't remember.
I remember when it was a 2-horse race with Leicester and Spurs, and Spurs still finished 3rd.
Yeah. But yeah, so final on Sunday, big game for both teams. Obviously, a lot of still rumours around whether like Pochettino should be the manager or not, but ultimately they are a massive work in progress. I know obviously everyone goes on about the money spent, and I agree with that, but you can only do so much with 30 players that have all been thrown at you. You know what I mean? It does take time, and you do need some more experience. And obviously, the player we mentioned before, Thiago Silva, he's on his last legs now. You know what I mean? And
who do you think feels more pressure going in on Sunday? Klopp, with it being his last few months at Liverpool, or Pochettino, with it being, hang on a minute, you're struggling a bit here, but if you can get this trophy,
has he won a final with Pochettino? Though, is that a question? Has he won a final?
I don't think
so. He probably did it. Did he win something when
maybe
he
a PSG?
PSG?
Maybe.
I was going to say he might have won a
Maybe.
trophy
Or was
there,
that
but
was
But
that one
arguably
season that he
trophies at
didn't win the
PSG.
league?
something like that.
He didn't win the
It
league,
didn't
did
go
he?
to plan.
And Leo won it, didn't he? Or Leon,
Leo.
like 2 years ago, and I'm sure he was the
Leo.
I think
manager.
it was Lil,
He was,
yeah. Was it Lil?
it was either him or Emery that was the manager at the time, I think.
Who's Leo?
I just think, like you say, I mean, I was listening to the pundits and that today, and they're all expecting a Liverpool win. Like, I would say the pressure is probably more on us, to be fair.
I think it's more
To
on
go
us
out
because
and
it's
win it.
expected, but at the same time, people need to realise that, like, Liverpool going into the final is not Liverpool like you would see normally on a match day in terms of, like, the players. But I still think we're good enough, and I think if Liverpool don't win the final, I think it's more of an upset than what it would be if Chelsea didn't win. I do think Liverpool are the best team, even with the injuries.
Yeah.
So I think the pressure is more on us. In terms of the managers, though, I think it's more on Pochettino. Klopp's done everything. We love him. If Liverpool don't win the final, we've still got a league title to go for. We've still got the Europa League, the FA Cup.
Yeah.
They've got nothing this season. You know what I mean?
I think Jurgen will be putting a bit of pressure on himself, though. I think more so wanting to sort of, because again, like we all say, it's the Mickey Mouse Cup. You only get like fucking, what is it, like 100 grand for the winner or something like that. It's obviously in terms of prize money, shite, but it's the first one in the bag, innit? And if you can get it in
It's
the
the
bag,
first major trophy of the season. You've got, like, as
it
much
is what
as
it is, innit?
like alluding to last season when West Ham won that Europa League conference or whatever it's called, like, they haven't won a trophy for so long. They haven't won a European trophy, I don't think, at all.
Yeah.
Like
last year, Mark, how big would the League Cup have been to use if you?
Oh, mate, it would have been parading it through the streets.
Well, yeah,
exactly.
remember that video that we all spoke about? That fella, the Al fella, he was like 60 or 70 odd.
Mate.
You know what I mean? Like, we've been we haven't won loads, but we've, like, me and Gareth have probably seen Liverpool win like over 10 trophies. And, you know, it's
Seen
a
them
lot.
win every
It's a lot.
fucking one, lad, you know what I mean?
But that's what I'm saying. No, it's a lot, but, like, the League Cup is still a trophy that I want to win. Like, the Charity Shield doesn't bother me. I don't see that as it's not a major trophy. The Super Cup, I want to win it, but it's like the League Cup for me is still a decent trophy to win. And like you said, it's the first one. It sets the tempo for the rest of the season then. And I think
winning mentality.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
it did in
I think we've got a good
2022.
chance.
I know we ended up only winning the League Cup and the FA Cup, but fucking hell, that, like, the last day of the season with Villa going 2-0 at City, and then that Champions League final, I'm sorry, but if it weren't for Courtois, it probably would have been 4-5-1.
Yeah.
Realistically. So, but again, if you don't win the League Cup, you probably don't get that bounce to go and put them performances in week in, week out.
I think if Liverpool don't win the League Cup, it's going to be a very, very interesting game against City. Because I think it might knock the players a little bit.
Especially with the injuries as well.
Yeah. So, who knows?
Predictions?
I'm going to say... I'm going to say 3-1 to us.
Mark?
I'll say 2-1 because I was going to say a 3-1. I'll say 2-1 Chelsea.
Not bad. You're not coming back.
Fucking boot him out now.
Well, what are you saying, guys?
Obviously, I feel a little bit different when I see the Liverpool squad out on Sunday, but yeah, I'm confident. We just battered them 4-1 as well at Anfield. 2-0 Liverpool.
Yeah. Did you see that?
Clean sheet.
I was kind of going to like go away from that conversation now, but did you see that Liverpool have been speaking to basically a German neuroscientist with the chance of it going to penalties?
Nah, go on.
That's
What, just psychological?
Yeah. So basically, they've been having group meetings or something like that with a German neuroscientist to basically
put Kelleher on the first
That's
pen
what I
and
was gonna
fucking
say.
Chelsea's heads will fall off. I hope it's not a fucking 0-0 again though after the two finals the other year. Fucking hell, like
I don't think it will be that. Go back to the game the other week at Anfield. I don't think it will be.
It can't be, can it?
That
It's going to be
like,
too open.
Yeah, I can't see it happening. Right. Anyway, we're going to go off the football chat. We're not going to be doing much more now. I think we've hit quite a lot of. Is there anything we've missed that you think we should speak about in terms of football?
Don't know. Maybe some of our followers with United. We haven't really touched on United that much. Maybe
we have a little bit. Didn't we? Spoke about Ten Hag and Sir Jim Radcliffe and stuff like that.
Fuck them.
They're underachieving. That's
one thing we haven't spoke about, and I don't want to get too much into it.
There's only one United.
The fact we haven't spoke about it is crazy, but yeah, Klopp's leaving Liverpool at the end of the season. Gareth, if Alonso isn't the manager, because that's who everyone wants, who would you pick? Never trust the story.
Genuinely felt like someone in my family had died, lad. Like fucking.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah.
But who would you pick if you could have Alonso? Let's say Alonso decides to stay at Leverkusen, he does the unthinkable and win the league without losing, and he wants to stay to give them another year. Who would you go for?
Rob Edwards.
I don't know. I think I'd have to go De Zerbi, I think.
Yeah, I'd probably say De Zerbi. What about you? Who would you say Mark Liverpool should go for? Realistically, like
Jason Tyndall, more like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want to go too much into the Klopp conversation. I feel like.
Would you have Mourinho?
No.
Do you know what? No.
He would.
But yes.
Not a chance.
Do you know when you look at someone, yeah,
it's
and you've got a soft spot for someone?
Yeah.
Mourinho's that one for me.
Lad, you can't go from 9 years of Jurgen's footy to his.
I wouldn't. That's what I'm saying. I wouldn't take him. But if someone said to me now, let's say Jurgen Klopp gets sick tomorrow, and we need someone to manage the final for us. Let's say he fucking, I don't know, touch wood, it's not bad, but let's say he's sick for 4 days, and we have to bring someone in, like
a nurse.
Jose Mourinho.
You know he's got an assistant, don't you?
Nurse.
Yeah, but fuck him, like, no. I think he. Do you know one of the biggest things that baffles my head? Spurs got to a final and sacked him. Lad, he's won so many trophies. Why did you do that?
I put Ryan Mason in charge.
Why did you do that? Doesn't make any sense. No, genuinely, I wouldn't have Mourinho as Liverpool manager maybe 10, 15 years ago, but he is any manager in world football. If he played more football, that was more suited to that, like to this time now, and Liverpool hadn't had the pleasure of working under a manager like Jurgen Klopp and having that like connection. On the down low, he likes Liverpool as a club, lads. He's mentioned it. He likes Gerrard. There was a lot of rumours around the time when Benitez got the job that he wanted the job, and he basically said to his agent, "Go and get me that job."
He did.
You've seen the way when he plays against us, he celebrated. Like, I've got a soft spot for him. I think he's great, and I think he would fit the club as a person as well. I know some people don't think he would. His shithousery is unreal, and he can't he'd be boss. Anyway, right.
Open the can of worms there, didn't it?
I would take Unai Emery, by the way, but I just don't think he'll leave his project at Villa.
Yeah. Might be De Zerbi as well if we don't get Alonso, by the way. Right, so we've got a couple of questions on Facebook. We had one before off Connor, didn't we? But we're going to go off the football chat now, or we might, if we have got any questions about football, it'll be a simple one word answer or something. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
No.
So.
How are you?
Got a question off Dan Cabela, and he said to me, why haven't you been a full-time streamer? So, when anyone watching that does watch the streams, the plan was to take a week off. Took a week off. I got sick. And I'm still not better, by the way. I'm still a little bit, I just see I keep coughing a little bit. But, I just can't be arsed.
How many weeks are we going into here?
This is the 4th week. Well, it'd be 4 weeks in 4 days. I haven't streamed, but the reason why I just can't be asked. I go to bed at a normal time. Ironically, we've actually, this is quite late for me. It's 25 to 1 in the morning, and that's because Mark's been in work. That's the only reason why. So we've
inconsiderate twat.
Yeah, not blaming anyone, like, but I'm enjoying like not having to force myself to stream. Like, I want to stream, but like when I want to. Like, I'm probably in a position now where, like, I don't know whether, like, I'd still be. If someone said to me, "You're going to be streaming in 6 months' time," I don't know.
You know what? I'll actually stick up for you here as well. And I think, anyone who's watching this is probably part of the community with Nathan or whatever. But the sort of the drop off in engagement and people getting involved over the last sort of 12 to 18 months as well is massively affected you. Like, I remember being in streams where we'd have 100+ people in there, and we'd be talking and having banter and that, and that's all part and parcel of it. I don't blame you sometimes. I think, can I be arsed when
you've got your kids as well. Your kids are more important spending quality time with them.
There's a lot of reasons. Like I said, one of the main ones is just literally just wanting to go to bed earlier. And I know people
Anyway.
say, well, why don't you stream
No,
earlier?
because you're
But
getting a routine on you.
it's not
I
even
wish
it's not
I
that
had
easy.
that.
Like, if Paula's in work, then I've got to sort the kids out. And then, like,
You're knackered.
by the time she gets home, like, I've got to sort the tea out and stuff. And then, let's say I stream at, like, 6:30, 7 o'clock. The baby's going to bed then. And then let's say, oh, let's play a bit more. I go live at 9 o'clock. And then I go live at 9 and I'm up till 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning again. Do you know what I mean? So,
And then you
Just
haven't
one of
been
them.
able to goose Paula or fuck all.
I'm not saying I'm stopping streaming, by the way. I'm just saying, like, I just don't know what's going on at the minute. I will be
I'm
streaming
saying
again.
the fucking lot of you need to pull your fingers out and start supporting him a bit fucking more.
That also has, why don't I like pork pies? I
And
do.
you.
I just don't like Tory pork pies, like Gareth likes Tory pork pies. By the way,
Fucking hell, I was talking about 6 months ago when I had fucking beautiful pork pies. Get
you know
over
what?
it.
Do you know what the weird thing is? I actually seen a video today where someone that makes pork pies said that you should cut them upside down.
No way. I've seen that the other day. I've seen that the other day.
Is that because it's got like the jelly and stuff at the
Yeah, it's
top?
basically meant to just keep it together better. You're meant to cut it like a pizza, like cut it upside down.
Fuck cutting it anyway, lads. In one.
Yeah, I'm the same. Like, but I don't mind the pork pie, but
I'm not a
if
big
I've got, like
fan.
Scotch eggs, sausage rolls, and pork pies. Pork pie is the thing I'll eat last. Personally,
Love
Don't
the pork
like Scotch eggs.
you don't like Scotch eggs?
Nope.
It's like Irish ones.
Weird are you? Right, another question. Ashley's asked, what does each team need in the summer to reach the next step? That's impossible to answer in such a short time.
How
Kylian
big's the
Mbappe.
step? How big's the step?
What step are we talking about? Like, are we saying we take a look
Foot long.
Subway.
like 19th, 18th to like win the title? It's I think we've alluded. I think we've
Kylian
spoken up about
Mbappe.
the Premier League.
Any
I think
team
where Ash is probably coming from for that is probably maybe from a United point of view. And I'd
Kylian
say
Mbappe.
you just need a fucking lot, Ash, to be fair. Like
I
yous
said
do
I
need
said
a
this
lot.
to Tom the other day, like, and I'm not saying like this is the main reason why I said it, but I still think they need a striker. I think Hoyland's had a good season for his first season, but he also went
He's out
13
injured
games.
as well
You
now,
need
isn't he?
somebody to
That's,
learn
that's
off.
what I'm about to say.
Who's he
He went
learning
13
off?
games without a goal assist, and he's just got injured, and he signed for them injured because he had like, can't remember exactly what it was, but it was basically something to do with, might have been something to do with growing. You know what I mean? He's still a kid. He's like 20 or something, but he's just got an injury, and that can happen to anyone. We've just got Jota, Nunes, Salah. They're all injured. Do you know what I mean? So it can happen, but I don't think you can rely on a 20-year-old to be your main striker in today's age. I just don't think you can.
Not
like-
when you're Man United.
Not with United. And I just think that they would benefit more of going and buying another more senior striker like Ivan Toney or someone like that, and him
Callum Wilson.
playing slightly less minutes. I'm not saying he has to play like ridiculously low amounts of minutes. He can still play 2,000 plus minutes. Still get himself like, he can still, let's say they get the Europa League next season, start him in all the Europa League games, let him play all like the Carling Cup and the FA Cup games, and then let him start 10, 15 Premier League games, and then bring him on with 10, 15 minutes. Like, he's still getting a lot of minutes. I just don't think, like, obviously an argument that going up, me and Tom were speaking about, like, his debate was obviously, but if you do that, then you're limiting him and you might stop his progression and stuff. I agree with that, but I also think that I just don't think he's ready yet to be the main man for United as a striker.
It's
And I
about
think
man management as well, isn't it?
That's what I just think. He's a good player and he's got a very good chance of being a very, very, very good player. But I just think that if they were to go and sign someone like Ivan Toney, who
A Liverpool fan.
is more experienced, than I just think is, I just think that Hoyland would also learn a lot from him as well. I think
Yeah.
Ivan Toney's
You
a really
need
good
someone to
player.
learn off.
And I just think that they haven't got many players in that team that I look at and think, you're a great role model. Is Ivan Toney that player? I'm not sure, but I just think they could do with a couple. Like, I think they need more senior players. I think they could do with a left back as well. Malacia, I'm not going to say he's been a bad player, but he's just never not fit.
He's not going to take him to the next level either, is he?
That's what I mean. Luke Shaw can't stay fit. Martinez done well for them last season, but then
Casemiro's legs have gone.
yeah, he's had 2 massive injuries. Kobe Mainoo looks like a really good player, but again, it's like Liverpool.
Should be in the England squad, him, shouldn't he?
He's going to be England captain in the summer, isn't he?
I know. But it's like Stefan Baccetic for us last season was absolutely fantastic. Then he got injured, and then we've seen him once or twice since March.
You'd be
year.
surprised if Mainoo doesn't pick up an injury. It's just that from going from youth football to Premier League football.
You've got to be careful. You've got to manage them and like make sure that you're not running them into the ground. Because that's what can happen.
It was just you see it a lot.
How many
with the young
times have you
players
seen
now,
it in
don't
the past? Look at the likes of, like, I know not everyone's the same, but look at Michael Owen. Like Wayne Rooney retired when he was like 31 because he's playing such like a lot of football at such a young age.
From
It's
16
like,
through to fucking
it's like
30,
now,
yeah,
like
14 years.
Like ironically, United having injuries has kind of played well for them because they managed to get Kobe Mainoo playing, and you've seen how good he is. It's the same with like Newcastle when we're going on about Lewis Miley. It's not a bad thing for them to play. But going into
like us now with Conor Bradley as well.
That's what I mean. Lewis Miley, Conor Bradley's a little bit older. I think he's like 22 or something. But it's the same with like Hoyland. We've got Trent. Do you know what I mean? Like, and we got Joe Gomez. Like they've got Martial. Like they need to go and get someone else who's better. Doesn't have to be like a better footballer than Hoyland in a sense. He just has to be more.
Doesn't have to be £100 million player, either, does it? Could be a £40 million player.
This might be a bit of a mad thing to say, but like, if Callum Wilson's injuries weren't as bad, he could be all right for United. Someone like him, someone who's got experience, can score goals, and Hoyland would learn a lot from him. I think Callum Wilson's a really good player. He just can't stay fit. So, ironically, I don't think that should be the player he should go for. But like, if he could stay fit, he'd be a good signing for them. Someone like that. You know what I mean? I just think, United needs to do a lot to get to where they want to be because ultimately, United need to be winning league titles every season and trying to get to Champions League finals. That's how big the club is. You know what I mean?
And at a very minimum, you know, it's getting back to Champions League football as well. And like, I know they finished top 4 last year, but fuck me, did they end up finishing bottom of their Champions League group, or was it? Yeah, it was, wasn't it?
Yeah, bottom.
Like,
yeah, because they would have went into the Europa League, wouldn't they?
Yeah, Man United, bottom of the fucking Champions League.
Yeah, the group, by the way, that they should have at least finished second in.
Bayern Munich,
I know Bayern Munich are a better team, but like, yeah, Galatasaray in Copenhagen. There's not a chance they should be going out with that, like going out in that group.
The City have just gone to Copenhagen and fucking pasted them all over the park in the first leg, haven't they?
Right, another question. This is again. I know we said we got off the football, but we've had football questions.
I can't hear him.
I think now.
You hear me now?
I mean, hear me now.
I don't know why, but my mic's just muted itself. He said compare Saka to Salah since that's what Arsenal fans do.
Who's saying this?
Saka to Salah. There's no comparison, is there really? Then is there?
I think Saka's got a very high fucking ceiling, and he's playing. He is. If not already, he's on the prelims. He will be a world class player if he doesn't get bad injuries or something.
Yes, question: is he left-footed or right-footed?
Saka left-footed, isn't he?
But he can play with both feet. I think
Saka and Salah are completely different players as well in general about the play.
Salah's changed the mould for a sort of wide forward or inverted winger or whatever you want to call it these days. Like the numbers he's racked up over the past 6 years consistently.
But he's been injured now and like not playing for Liverpool pretty much for like nearly 2 months, and he's still
Saka's nowhere near them numbers.
Like he's still second in the league for most goals.
He's playing well in an Arsenal team. So Arsenal play well when Saka plays well. Do you know what I mean?
How old's Saka now?
22.
He's still a baby as well, lads. I think he's got a very high ceiling. Whether he reaches Mo's numbers in years to come, we'll be seeing. But like you say, I won't go comparing.
Would you say he's world class?
I'd say he's on the. I'd say he's on like. I'd say he's on the verge.
He's on the level of a lot of players that Arsenal have got. I think we say a lot of players are world class too much. I genuinely think the only teams in the league that have actually got world class players are Liverpool City, in my opinion. Maybe Spurs with Son.
I think as much as I slay Casemiro, I think he's world class. Like
right now, I wouldn't say he is. I think he's a good player though, but you could maybe. I think Saliba.
I'd say Ryan Brewster is world class.
Odegaard, Saliba, Declan Rice, Saka are all on that level of being like right there.
Just underneath it, yeah. On the cusp of it,
Say. But I think the gap between like just being under it and being on it is still quite a big gap.
Gabriel Jesus?
No. I wouldn't say so anyway. Yeah. He's a good player, but I wouldn't say he's there.
He's another one who's on the treatment table all the fucking time, isn't
he? Right, another non-football, but it is a sport question. So Peter Elliott, as you all know, Well,
Who's
you
that?
two know anyway. Supports the blue shite. If you could only watch one sport and it can't be football, what would it be?
Probably boxing, UFC, something like that.
What you, Mark?
Cricket.
Cricket. I don't know, you know, I don't really watch any other sports. I go through a phase where I'm like
chess.
off and on. I watch a little bit of fucking F1, but like not consistently enough to say.
Yeah.
I love it. I like it, but
Arts would be my other one.
I don't know.
But some people don't say it's a sport.
You know what the ironic thing is? If I couldn't watch football, I'd have to get into another sport because I love sport. So, do you know what? If it wasn't played at like 3-4 o'clock in the morning, basketball's really good, NBA's really good. It's just so end to end. It'd probably be basketball or F1.
You only have one.
I'm going to stick with martial arts then. I'll go with the UFC, boxing.
Ethan also asked if you could visit one spot in the world, where would it be and why? And then he said something shite about Goodison, but we won't talk about that. But one spot in the world, where would it be and why?
One spot in the world.
Might have to be off the coast of New Zealand, where you have great white sharks.
Well, you're going to say something like in between Beyonce's legs?
Yeah. Somewhere like that, South Africa.
Because I think it's hard to just pick one place, isn't it?
Great white sharks.
Yeah. That's what I mean. We were talking with Gareth last night about like he's been fortunate enough to go on a lot of really good holidays with his mum and dad and stuff, and there's like that is the type like that what you just mentioned, like New Zealand, like that is like could be a once in a lifetime holiday. Like you might if you're like in a position where like you've got the money to be able to maybe go abroad every year, but like for 40 years of your life you might go to Spain or Turkey, and then like there might be 5 years of your life spent across that 45-year span where you might get to go to somewhere like New Zealand or like Jamaica or like somewhere like that.
Kenya.
I just feel like there's so many.
Kenya.
Well, yeah, there's so many places in the world. Like I watch a lot of travel videos on YouTube, and like I'd love to go to somewhere just like mad, like the Philippines. Do you know what I mean?
Is that why you're not fucking streaming?
Leave me out first, I'd be able to go out.
Aye.
But like, I think it's impossible to pick one place.
Yeah, I know. There might be a place that you end up going, and that could then become the place.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like some people might say, like watching the Northern Lights or something like that. I don't know. Fucking.
That's what I mean. Like ironically, like going to watch the Northern Lights is not something that like doesn't fascinate me.
Nah. If I could go back to one place right now, it'd be my fucking seat in the Kenny full time against Barcelona. That'd be where I'd go back to.
Yeah. It's a bad one, isn't it? To be fair, like he didn't set any rules. He just said one place.
Are you talking about the Kenny
where
that you stand by any chance?
He didn't say that to me before or afterwards.
It certainly wouldn't be fucking Goodison Park anyway.
Yeah, that won't be a place soon anyway. Will it be knocked down?
I got thrown out of there, didn't I? So
what, Goodison?
Aye.
Yeah.
After 20
Mark, you've been a
minutes.
lovely fob, by the way, lad.
Cracking wall design behind you.
Right.
Looks like Everton's fucking trophy cabinet.
We haven't got any more questions, but I'm going to ask you a question.
Can I ask a question?
Go on,
quick one. Why can't the USA and the UK play chess?
I don't know.
Because there's only checkers in the UK?
No. Because they're missing 2 towers and a queen.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's getting edited out.
Is it fuck?
Waka waka.
Never trust the Tory. Right, my question is, and it's going to be to end the podcast as well. I'm going to ask both of you where your teams are going to finish in the table. Where Liverpool going to finish, Gareth?
You could have gone to win first.
No,
second.
where Liverpool going to finish? Where?
Second.
Mark, where Newcastle going to finish?
7th.
Okay, who's going to win the Champions League?
City. Or Madrid.
Or Mark?
City.
Barcelona.
Okay. Who's going to win the Europa League?
Liverpool.
Liverpool.
Okay. Who's going to win the FA Cup?
Newcastle.
Okay. Guys?
City.
Okay.
Are they still in it? They are, aren't they?
Okay. Who's going to get relegated? We have to say.
I think we can agree on 2, can't we? I think.
Yeah.
Everton and
yeah, Burnley and Sheffield United. Who's going to be the third team? Who's going down?
Everton.
Okay. What about you?
I think Everton are struggling, like, aren't they? We could get another points deduction. Forest could get one. We just don't know yet. But I'm a little bit different to you. I'd fucking love to see them go down. Don't spend your last year in Goodison in the fucking Championship. Ted Hart and fucking you.
Yeah. Right, everyone. It's been a pleasure. Mark, thanks for joining us, lads.
Always a pleasure. Thank you.
It's 1 a.m, so we appreciate it. We know you don't sleep anyway, like, so
Well,
we're going to be awake.
If you fancy jumping on a few games of Fortnite before I go to keep, Gareth gives a shout.
Do I look like I belong on a Sting video? You at your Fortnite. How old are you? 40?
No, 38.
You've knocked a couple of years off him there. He's definitely 43.
But yeah, everyone, it's been a pleasure. Like I said, this podcast is going to be uploaded on Saturday, which is technically today. It's past 12 o'clock for people that are patrons. And just to go back to what I said at the start, this might not be something that carries on. It might not. We might change to something else. I've mentioned this to Gareth already. I don't know if we're going to keep doing heads and laughs or whether I'm going to do something NLG related. It'll all depend on what me and Gareth can do and what we can actually push together and stuff. But for the foreseeable, this is probably going to be what's going to happen. I just don't know how often.
Just without the Geordie cunts.
Yeah. So obviously it'll still be me and Gareth that are going to be hosting it, and we might get some. Well, we will get people on. And again, if you're a Patreon, you'll have a chance to jump on. If you want to chat about football, obviously we used to talk about mental health and stuff like that. We'll be talking about everything. You need to just basically let us know that you're enjoying it. We had a lot of people asking where the podcast was and stuff, and it's literally just been down to the fact that we haven't had time to do it, and that's it really. And now we've had
at the end of the day
it.
as well. It's down to the engagement on the back of it as well, isn't it? We need just to get involved and want to see it. At the end of the day, like Nath just said, it's fucking 1 o'clock in the morning, and we're sat here doing this, so we're not doing it for the good of our health.
I've got a full day of work, mate, and I'm still coming in to make sure I'm fucking available to chat and give my stupid opinions on that.
Yeah,
you're not getting a percentage.
A percentage of what? I didn't want a percentage of note. AC said 10%. Well, AC ain't in charge no more.
Well, yeah, it's been a pleasure, everyone. Thanks for listening. I'll see you all later.